started in Virginia. I lived in Yorktown, Virginia. And a girl I was dating on the eastern shore of Virginia, and I knew I would go over to see her, and I knew about a blues guy named Arthur Big Boy Crudup. And his claim to fame was he wrote the first song that Elvis ever recorded, a song called That's All Right Now Mama. He also wrote Rock Me Mama, which Led Zeppelin did, and a few other songs. And so I went and befriended him, and oddly enough, at the time, he was pretty much retired and living in a migrant camp, to tell you the truth, very poor man. And it was about the time when Bonnie Raitt and the English blues things were starting to kick off. And before you know it, I went from an out-of-work musician to being on the road with Big Boy Crudup and Bonnie Raitt on our very first tour. When I came to Key West, first time was in '78. I wish I'd have had a Pretty Girl Cadillac and money, but I didn't. I had a station wagon and an old dog, but it was a good dog. And so I came and was playing at Sloppy Joe's. I'd been really tired of the road, and I knew at the time I wanted to settle somewhere. I was living in Richmond, Virginia at the time, and we came here the first time in February, so it was just a no-brainer. So I moved here, and we kind of became the house band at Sloppy Joe's, and then started playing Green Parrot and the Hog's Breath and everywhere else in town. You know, so, and now I'm slowing down a little bit, but still playing festivals. Go to Europe every other summer or so and play over there. It's interesting. In just about any town that has any kind of music, you're going to find somebody that does original music. But in Key West, it's way more accepting than other places. There are places in town, if you don't play original music, you won't be hired. Hog's Breath, for example. I mean, it's perfectly okay to sit down and play all your own songs, all you want. That's just fine. You don't have to play Buffett. You don't have to do all this stuff. And I think it takes a while, but I think that when the tourists come in, you know, I've seen it happen hundreds of times. They'll look, and many times they'll come up to you and say, you know, Freebird, that's a good one, but you know, anybody asked me if I know Freebird weren't listening. But then I'd say, well, no, you gotta understand, this is all original. This is a Key West thing. Even though what I do is a blues, it's still Key West. I have a song called The Other Side of Paradise. It's about Key West. You know, it doesn't have steel drums, and doesn't have all that, but it's about Key West. But it's maybe the other side of the paradise for Key West, you know. I live in a floating home, you know, and I've always wanted to do it, even when I owned houses. I owned a house in Whitehead Street for 20-some years. I always said one of these days I'm going to buy one of those floating homes over there and live on there, and I did. And my wife and I enjoy it immensely. But it's wonderful. Yesterday we had 2 large manatees. You know, they come over there all the time. And I know you're not supposed to feed them, and of course we don't. But it's wonderful living on a boat in Key West. Everybody has this odd thing about it. We don't live on the hook. It's like a little community. Some of the people that live over there have been living there for 30 years. You know, it's like any other community. We just float. And the blues, you know, people have this idea that it's supposed to give you the blues. It's not that way at all. It's just a term people use. You know, I play a lot of jump blues. You know, it's kind of rockin' blues, and that's kind of the main thing I do. My Key West experience has been, you know, it's been great because the audience comes to you, which is great. And I've been playing in Key West ever since 1981, and have been lived here since 1982. And so that's 30-some years now. I've been doing it and it's been worked out. I'm amazed. When I play in town, they still come out, and I'm always just blown away by it. It just happened last Sunday, and the place was packed. And so it's a good thing. It's a good life.